Hello everyone, my name is C. Anuj Agarwal from Gyan IFRS. Today we're going to talk about a concept called de facto control, which includes under Ind AS 110 or IFRS 10, which stands for Consolidated Financial Statements. It's a general presumption that if an entity holds 50% or more voting rights of another entity, it is loosely concluded that the one entity controls the another one. However, as per the para B41 and 42, which defines certain situations where even an entity holds less than 50% of an voting rights of another entity, it can still have a current ability to direct the relevant activities of the investee. The concept is called as a de facto control. De facto control is being used in IASB version IFRS 10, whereas in the India, when it has brought into in the name of Ind AS 110, it does not use that de facto control word, but per se the requirement and the guidance is almost the same. Now, as per the Ind AS 110, the paragraph B41, which talks about an investor with less than a majority of voting rights has rights that are sufficient to give it a power when the investor has a practical ability to direct the relevant activities unilaterally. Now, whenever we are assessing one entity is controlling to another, we are always looking for the how much voting rights one entity holds. This could be the first step to indicate that one entity would control to another one when we have a 50% or more voting rights. But we cannot conclude, or one cannot conclude, that merely having the 50% or more voting rights could be the concluding statement that one entity is controlling to the another one, because as per the Ind AS and IFRS 10, which talks about certain criteria which is to be fulfilled before we say that one entity controls to the another one. Now, the 50% or more could be an indication what we discussed, but at the same time there are certain conditions where even the 50% voting rights are not holding by one entity, it can still have a control over the relevant activities of the another entity. What is relevant activities? Relevant activities of an entity is defined as those activities which ultimately affects the profit of that entity. Here, we will not be discussing in detail what are the relevant activities. For that, we will be having a separate video on the what are the relevant activities. Here, we want to just focus on the specifically on the what is de facto control. As per Ind AS 110, which defined as per its para B41, which says an investor with less than a majority of voting rights, meaning less than 50%, has a rights that are sufficient to give it a power when the investor has the practical ability to direct the relevant activities unilaterally. Meaning, if an entity, even if it is holding less than 50%, but it can direct or it has an ability which is a practical in the current scenario, then it can be demonstrated or it can be concluded that one entity has a control to the another one. Para B42, which says about when assessing whether an investor's voting rights are sufficient to give it a power, an investor considers all facts and circumstances, which includes the size of the investor's holding of voting rights relative to the size of the dispersion of the holding, or the more voting rights an investor holds, the more likely the investor is to have existing rights that gives the current ability to direct the relevant activities. Another one, the more voting rights an investor holds relative to the other vote holders, the more likely the investor is to have existing rights that give it the current ability to direct the relevant activities. Para 10 of IAS 10 or IFRS 10, which says an investor has power over an investee when the investor has existing rights that give it the current ability to direct the relevant activities, that is, the activities that significantly affects the investee's returns. Investee's returns means the profitability of that business. Now, let us take an example to understand this concept. Company A holds 40% voting shares of Company B, and rest 60% of voting shares are being held by individual investors in a very large number, which are dispersed over the area. Now, we will look at this concept in a very brief manner, and we will go through the practicality of that particular concept. We have a situation where standard says that an entity will have a power over the investee when it has a current ability. Current ability is what is defined in para 10, what we discussed just now. To direct the relevant activities. Relevant activities, again, it has already been defined in the Ind AS 103, which is a business combinations. Of an investee, which essentially means that existing rights which can in substance direct these relevant activities to conclude as power. In this situation, assuming that 60% shareholders widely spread it as per our example, and each of such shareholders are holding very less number of shares individually. Hence, it does not get into the process of voting collectively to vote out the decision of Company A, which holds the 40% of voting rights. So it can be an indication that Company A, which is holding only 40%, can have the power over the investee. Investee is who? Company B. But again, it is not a concluding or the final statement that once you have the other majority number of voting rights which is dispersed across, you cannot conclude that minority shareholder which is less than 50% can have a power over the investee. No. You have to go through the past meeting records, attendance, that is quorums, which would provide substance about the facts mentioned, which we discussed just now. Also, one has to see if the decisions are being taken by Company A itself, as other shareholders has not voted in full or not voted collectively against the Company A. In the past, there should not be any precedence like where the 60% voting shareholders which are widely dispersed, they had not come in a collective manner and they had not superseded any decision of Company A in the past. Standard states that while making such type of analysis related to de facto, one has to carefully examine if there are any contractual agreements between shareholders which gives, for example, Company A, the power to vote in all activities without being interfered by the other small investors. Then, one can draw simply the conclusion that because of this agreement, Company A holds less than 50% of voting rights, it still has current ability to direct the activities of B. Meaning, if the contractual arrangement which is other than the voting rights or shareholders agreement, if it's clearly said that Company A in our example is having a right without interfering to the other without interfering by the other shareholders, then one can conclude that it is the entity which is controlled by Company A. The standard uses the word current ability to direct the investee current ability to direct the investee's relevant activities, meaning suppose the 60%, the rest shareholders, is being held by one individual investor, but he actually act as a passive, then we simply cannot conclude that because of the rest 60% shareholder does not use its right in vote in the past meeting and all decisions are being taken by Company A, which is holding 40% share, then Company A has a power over Company B because this individual investor is having a current ability, and we cannot just conclude it because he is acting passively, meaning there should be a substance behind that. If we are saying that one investor who is having even the less than 50% is having the control, it is to be substantiated based on the past trends. Based on the guidelines above provides, it gives the overall idea where even the 50% shareholders or less than 50% shareholders are there, even one can demonstrate or one can conclude that it is the investment which is controlled by the person who is having a less than 50%. So this is one of the area where one has to focus and one has to be very careful about, because when it is the control established, then the consolidation would be required. If anything further you want to understand or you want to clarify, please feel free to log on our website, that is www.gyanifrs.com, or you can email it to us. Thank you.